Hi, everybody. This is Maria. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. With me today is AMIRA LOUTFI, our reviews editor. Hi, AMIRA.
Hello.
I actually don't know if I'm waving in the right direction or not, because I don't know what this is going to look like when it's up on the screen. Every Friday, a few of us get together and read the opening chapters of the top 10 free sci-fi and fantasy books on Amazon. And today our news editor, Alex KOROLOV, helped us out. So we appreciate that because that's a lot of reading. The link to the article is in the description box below. For those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free to our readers. We publish short stories, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. And we're able to do this thanks to the kind support of our Patreon contributors. Thanks, guys. If you want to join our team and help write reviews or contribute short stories or help us with editing, or just donate money so we can pay for more original fiction, all the links are below, including my email address. So feel free to contact me directly if you'd like to. Okay, so let's get started with today's books. The first book is Legacy of the Lost by Lindsey Sparks. Let me pull up that on the screen. Let me make that bigger for you so you can see it. There we go. So Legacy of the Lost by Lindsey Sparks is the first of 5 books in the Atlantis Legacy Urban Fantasy series. The other books are $5 each. The 5th book is on pre-order. It will be coming out this August, and the series is not in Kindle Unlimited. So you will have to pay money for the rest of the books, even if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, which I am. I recommend it highly. 10 bucks a month, all you can read. It's kind of like Netflix for books. Okay, so this book starts out with plenty of action, like fantasy kind of fighting, gunplay, swords kind of action, which I love. But then it's a fake out. It all was taking place in virtual reality. Big disappointment. All right, it's almost as bad as when there's plenty of action and it turned out to all be a dream, right? You know, like why, you know? So Cora, the protagonist, is sick and can't do much of anything or go anywhere because she has seizures whenever anybody touches her. So it's kind of a significant disability. She pretty much stays home and plays video games. But she's getting a new virtual reality toy to play with, a full body virtual reality suit. So previously she's just using a regular headset like normal people do. So she's really looking forward to it. Then she gets a package from her mother with a mysterious artifact in it. So when the package first comes, she thinks it's a suit. So my thought is this is going to be one of those lit RPG or game lit books where somebody who's handicapped in real life finds an outlet and a mission and a purpose in a virtual world, which is fine. I've read plenty of those books. And some of them I recommend highly because they're still fun to read. But it's a very particular genre kind of book. But the package is not the virtual reality suit. It's something from her mother. Like I said, it's got a mysterious artifact in it and a mysterious note from her mom who's vanished recently. And her mother does something with ancient artifacts of some kind. And there might be some kind of magical aspect to these artifacts. There are 2 of them. There's a necklace and some kind of weird stone that glows different colors. And maybe something her mother did is what's causing her to have these seizures. And maybe there's something magical about these artifacts that her mother has sent to her. And why does virtual reality come into it at all? So lots of questions here. It's a little bit of a serious, slightly more serious tone, and I'm not quite in the mood for that. I like my action to be more actiony and more lighthearted, but the virtual reality aspect does kind of intrigue me because I write about virtual reality in my day job, and my books are set in the virtual reality world. So this is a little bit up my alley. So I probably will come back to it and see where it goes. Next is another book I read, The City of Thorns by C.N. Crawford. And by read, I mean I read the first couple of chapters of. This is the first book in the Demon Queen Trials paranormal romance series. The second book is 99 cents. The third book is currently available for pre-order and is coming out later on this month. And the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. So Rowan is a college student in Massachusetts who's being harassed by a frat guy. She's studying psychology and she's trying to give a presentation when the guy shows up in her class. He's been stalking her since high school. And now he's in the class with her, making funny faces, throwing her off. He's been spreading rumors about her. She punched him out the day before and gave him a black eye. And the guy makes it seem like she's the crazy one. Okay, she did punch him out. So maybe, she's got some anger issues. But anyway, nobody believes her when she says that he's the stalker, he's the bad guy, he's been harassing her. Instead, he sets things up so it looks like she's the crazy one. So the premise makes me a little anxious. And the fact that Rowan isn't responding appropriately to the situation. She's falling for his tricks and she's getting flustered and she's saying the wrong thing and she's making the situation worse for her, like with everything she does. So I feel really, really bad for her, and that's also stressing me out. If she can't get her life straightened out, she's not going to be able to get a recommendation from her professor and get into grad school in the City of Thorns, where she can study magic and solve an unsolved crime. So there's a lot at stake for her. It's a young adult story, and I don't like young adult stories. Her issues stress me out. I've got enough stress in my life right now. So the vicarious stress from her isn't something that appeals to me. So I don't think I'll be sticking with this book, but it is free. It has good reviews. And if you like this kind of thing, it's in Kindle Unlimited, so check it out. Next is Stranded Land by Theresa Shaver, and Alex read this one. And it's the first of 6 books in the Stranded EMP Survival series. The other books are $5 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. And Alex says, if you like doomsday scenarios, this book is for you. It's centered around a group of high schoolers, so it might also appeal to, people who like young adult stories. He liked the fast pace of the first couple of chapters he read. He didn't mind that the main characters were teenagers, and he says he would keep reading. So what's happening is that Alex and her Canadian classmates are on a trip to Disneyland with their school, with their class in California, when the EMP hits. And an EMP is electromagnetic wave that destroys electronics, but leaves people and animals unharmed. So there's a little bit of high school drama, a little bit of background about what's happening, who's dating who's got a crush on someone. But Alex says that there wasn't too much of it, and it didn't bother him, and it helped him relate to the characters. But the action gets going pretty fast. By the end of chapter 1, even before anyone's had a chance to go on a single ride at Disneyland, the EMP has hit. One of the teacher chaperones is a pacemaker and keels over dead. A large plane loses power and crashes into the ground. And one of the teachers turns out to be a prepper. She rounds up the students and they start to make a plan to get home to Canada. So I personally would not read this book because I hate stories of EMP survival, any kind of dystopian fiction. I also don't like pandemics, anything that reminds me too much of present day reality. But Alex likes these, and he's been reading all these EMP books for us. So I guess that's his thing. And if it's your thing, check it out. All right, next we have I Bring the Fire Wolves, the first of 6 books in the I Bring the Fire Nordic Myth and Legend Fantasy series by C. Glockel. The other books are $4 to $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So Alex says that this is an interesting read, especially if you like characters from Norse mythology interacting with modern day humans. So it begins with Amy, a young veterinary student who is returning home for a college break, and she gets into a car accident and is almost kidnapped by a serial killer. And then it switches to Loki, the Norse god of trickery, or whatever he is. He's in a prison cell in Asgard. He escapes from prison and is trying to save his two sons, Vali and Eri, from being executed. And in the process, he gets sucked through a portal to Earth. He hears Amy's plea to be rescued, saves her from the serial killer. And Alex says he's not sure if he likes this book or not. It's quirky, but he doesn't know whether he's going to stick with it. But I'm liking the sound of this book, and I do like Loki very much. So I might check it out. Next, we have a book that I read, Wolf Called by Nicole R. Taylor. The first of 3 books in the Fortitude Wolves Paranormal Fantasy series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So this is a book with vampires and werewolves and a romance, and I'm not a fan of that. So the main character is Sloane. She's a bartender in Australia, in Perth, and near Perth, and she's studying computers at local universities. So it's a young adult book. I'm not a fan of those either. And she's studying online because she doesn't have the time or money to go in person. Plus, it's easier to enroll with a fake ID if you do it online, she says. And the reason why she's, in disguise is because she's hiding from her dad, who's some kind of master criminal. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with her dad. Her dad pretty much abandoned her after her mother died, and she's been raised in foster care. So she's got a bit of a chip on her shoulder, dad-wise. Then a hot guy shows up in her bar and tells her that her father sent him because she needs some protection. So she wants nothing to do with her dad. She wants nothing to do with this guy. She doesn't need any protection. So she kicks him out of the bar. She doesn't need him. She doesn't need her dad. So the hot guy is named Chase. I don't like that name. He smirks a lot. I don't like people who smirk. And since he's hot, Sloane, the main character, is probably going to end up with him. I don't like that either. So I have a feeling that this book is not for me. I'm not the target audience here. Next, let's go on to the next book on the list, Transfusion by Stephanie Hudson. The first of 12 books in the Transfusion Paranormal Romance series. The other books are $2 to $5 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. So if you like paranormal romance, definitely check this out. This might be up your alley. So the story is set in the modern day. Amelia is a restorer and curator of ancient Egyptian artifacts in a museum. Then her father shows up, her supernatural father. So Amelia is half human, and her father's supernatural and insanely rich and extremely hot. But she wants to make her own way in the world. So she moved to London, went to school, got a job, lives in a cheap apartment, takes a bus into the city every day. There's a lot of family drama here and a lot of like gossip, girl talk, relationship, like why are you single kind of dialogue, which kind of grates on me. I do not like family drama with my paranormal. So I'm going to skip this book. But if that's your kind of thing, then this is 12 books. So great deal. Definitely check it out. Well, I read the next book too. Okay, it's called A Quarter Past, Dancing with Disaster by Luke Mauerman. It's the first book of what will be a Quarter Past time travel romance series, but there's only one right now, I guess. The book is in Kindle Unlimited. It's usually $5, but it's free today. So it's set in modern day 2019 in San Francisco. Mark's a freelance writer who writes about economics, but his career's hit a dead end. And his best friend and former boyfriend, David, is a brilliant inventor. And apparently David's invented a time machine that lets him go back in time. And so, sorry about that. So he says he's gone back in time, brought artifacts with him to prove it. Mark is a little skeptical. So it's a slow beginning with kind of an old-fashioned writing style and a little too much exposition for my taste. It's told in the first person point of view and in the present tense. I have a really hard time getting into books written in the present tense. It's not a style I'm comfortable with. I can get into it in time, but it takes me a little effort to get into it. And for this particular book, I'm not really caught up enough in the story and the main character to stick with it. But if you like a gay romance, if you like time travel, check this out. All right, next is another book. So AMIRA had the last book on the list. I'm like, which one's AMIRA's book? When's it coming up? But okay, quick, we're almost there. Okay, so the next one is The Extinction Threat. Extinction Threat by T.S. Falk. This is the second book in the Ancient series, Ancient Secrets, kind of like space opera adventure, but to me it was more of a Indiana Jones kind of beginning. So both books are in Kindle Unlimited, but the first book is $3. But since the first book is in Kindle Unlimited, instead of starting with a second book, the free one, I went to the first book, The Ancient Code, to read that first because it's the first of 2 books. So The Ancient Code starts with Elliot Brand, a techno-archaeologist. He's in his 40s, and he's studying ancient ruins in Afghanistan. And what he does is he uses drones to laser scan the ruins to create a 3D model of the whole thing, which is really cool. He's running out of time because the US military is pulling out and the Taliban's coming back in. So very timely. And once the US forces leave, it's not going to be safe for him to stay any further. He's almost done with the scan when he gets word that the Taliban has taken Kunduz and they're heading towards the village near his excavation. He has to get out of there now. So he grabs his laptop and leaves behind $1 million worth of equipment in order to make it back to his plane and leave the country. And there's quite a bit of action there, a chase, there's shooting. It's pretty exciting. I love the writing style, very Indiana Jonesy. I like it very much. And then he comes back to his university at the University College of London, where he teaches a class on how to use cutting edge technology in archaeology. And he gives a lecture to the students about all the stuff that they're going to be studying, which I found super fascinating. So I loved the classroom part of it. I liked the way it was told. It wasn't too boring. It was just like fun, techie stuff. I enjoyed it. It's exactly my kind of book. So from what I've seen of it so far, I think I'm going to love it. I like the main character. I like the writing style. I like the pacing. But it does take a couple of chapters to get into the main story, which is that a mysterious benefactor hires Elliot to find another missing archaeologist, Elliot's old mentor. And their only clue is a mysterious object that's more than 1 million years old that could not have been produced with today's technology. And nobody knows what it is. So Elliot's mentor has been like going off the deep end with conspiracy theories. So nobody knows if this is real or not, but if it's a fake, like how the hell did they fake it? And if they did fake it, then they really want to find out how he faked it, because that's good tech by itself right there. So he's going to be hunting him down. And the problem is that the rich guy's investigators have already turned over every possible rock trying to find this guy. So Elliot's going to have to use his connections in the archaeology community, his skills in archaeology, and his relationship with his mentor's ex-wife to try to get a clue as to where the guy is. So I like it very much, and I probably will finish it this weekend. And I've got both of those books on my Kindle, so odds are high that I will get it read. In which case, I will update my review and tell you what I thought of the whole book. Next, we have Wizard Stone by D. Maltby, the first of 4 books in the Magic of Larleon epic fantasy series. The next 2 books are $5 each, and the 4th book is available for pre-order and will be coming out this August. The entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. So it starts out like the classic epic fantasy. Benaban is a young wizard with a magic sword that has its own name. He lives in a land with magical animals and lots of other fantasy creatures. He's fighting his way through the mountains and is attacked by the wind and by lightning and by a giant bird. He falls off a cliff. Meanwhile, down below in the forest, a magic user named Laurania senses that he needs help and knows that she has to save him. Many futures depend on it. And she uses her magic to send him help in the form of an animal that seems to be a giant mountain cat of some kind. So this cat goes, rescues the wizard, and takes him back to her nest with her kittens and feeds him some kind of animal that she catches for him. So I do like epic fantasy. The story is very cinematic. I can definitely see it being made into a television miniseries. And I do like the fact that it's in Kindle Unlimited. But I didn't quite get enough sense of the characters to pull me in. I think that if I keep reading, they might grow on me. And I might come back to this book. If I have time, I do have a lot of other stuff on my reading list, but I might give it another shot. But it's definitely readable. And so I do recommend it if you like this kind of fantasy. And finally, the last book on the list is AMIRA's book, Strange Threads, The Legacy of Lord Regret by Sam Bowring. The first of 2 books in the Strange Threads epic fantasy series. The sequel is $3 and is in Kindle Unlimited. So AMIRA, I should probably show people what it looks like. Let me switch to this book. There it is. There's the cover of it. Strange Threads. All right. So AMIRA, what did you think of it?
I thought it was really cool. I'm excited about the premise. So basically everything in the world, it takes place on a secondary world. Everything is made up of like magical threads, right? And in the very first scene, there's this mage who finds a really valuable herb and he shares it with his traveling companion. It's pretty romantic. It's clear that the 2 of them are in love, but it's kind of weird because his companion is like obedient to him, and so it's kind of a little bit like a parent-child kind of dynamic going on, but at the same time it's also pretty romantic. So yeah, so that's like kind of weird because I was kind of getting those vibes. But what was the other thing? Oh right, and then he suddenly starts seeing like signs that evil magic is coming back, right? So that was interesting. And then in the next chapter, the first chapter ends with a bang, in my opinion. I felt that it was good. I felt like there was like good tension. It was kind of mysterious. It built up to like, a really interesting conclusion. And so I think that shows that like the author is like pretty skillful, I guess, when it comes to those like traditional technique, right? But the writing was good, but I felt the writing style was also a little odd. The author does not usually write epic fantasy, but it still has a very strong epic fantasy vibe. So I feel like maybe that's why like he doesn't usually do epic fantasy, but he's like, this is, he's doing a pretty good job of making it, pull you into an epic fantasy world. Yeah, so I'm excited about it, especially because I felt that the world building is kind of cohesive, right? Because there's the problem in the first chapter, and then in the second chapter, the bard is telling a story about how good and evil mages were fighting using the threads, and how like the entire world is like made up of these like magical threads. So I do appreciate like a really strong theme in a book, and I'm pretty sure that there's only like 2 books in this series. So yeah, and also like I just found it to be like exciting, just like the idea that like everything's made of threads, and then if the threads are disturbed, then weird stuff starts happening. The sun, blinks. The leaves are just like kind of floating in midair. when they're falling, like they're not falling properly. Animals are like running backwards. It's like, okay, there's some cool stuff going on in this story. So I'm probably going to be back. Either that, or I'm going to read another book that I think is similar to this. Yeah, I thought it was good. I recommend it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that was the last of the books. I want to thank everybody who supports us on Patreon. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thanks to your support, we're going to be able to pay for another round of original fiction submissions in the fall. So keep an eye out for that. All right, so let's go and go finish those books. All right, AMIRA, thanks for joining me today. It's so nice to have somebody here with me, so I'm not talking just to an empty wall. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. You too. Have a good one.
And everybody, all of you guys, have a great weekend too. Enjoy these books and let us know what you thought in the comments below, and like and subscribe and all the other stuff. All right, bye-bye.